Good evening. Good evening. Hey, Vic, how's it going?
Hey, fairly well. Fairly well.
Good.
You heard that one,
Paul took out all the screens, so I can't see anything.
Can't see.
I'm flying blind around here.
Look discombobulated.
Yeah.
Confused these.
I am. I don't get a screen?
Not a screen. You get a screen at 4:30. At 5 o'clock, you get nothing.
I don't know who that is. But no, there's a lot going on right now.
Yeah.
A whole lot going on.
No doubt.
And I guess I don't even know where to start. I'd ask how have you been, but
Yeah, I've been okay. Considering everything that we're contending with in this great nation of the U.S. of A. with your president at the end. Miss
why do you
Candice.
keep calling yourself my president? When
You told me.
when you've been riding from
camera
no one
that
would
you
ever.
were riding
Nobody
with
would
your boy,
ever
the
believe that.
Don,
Nobody would ever
and your
believe
name
that.
say Candice.
Nobody
and
would
let's
ever
not
believe
forget Kanye or Yeezy.
Nobody would ever believe that. You've been defending him. We have show archives of you defending him for the past 2 years.
I'm not defending him. I'm not. I'm adding comic relief.
You've been defending him for the past 2 years now. 2 years, man. What's up with that? Now all of a sudden the ship is sinking and you want to hop off? And you want to hop off? Now that we have a virus and he's fired the pandemic response team. And he blew it off as a cold that was in April.
Uh-oh. Well.
Now you want to sit here and deny him.
You didn't say that on camera, Missy.
I don't think anybody that knows me on camera is quite clear. Quite clear of where I stand with your president.
Make America great again.
Right. What's been going on? Like, how have you been doing?
It's been interesting, right? Surreal even.
Hey, Paul.
Yes.
Somebody asked if it's on YouTube or Facebook, and I don't have the answer.
YouTube.
YouTube.
No, but it's been interesting. It's been surreal even, right? Because I teach, and both the schools that I teach at have converted their classes. We've gone from face-to-face, and as far as traditional classes are concerned, to virtual learning and whatnot, right? So it's very interesting. I mean, we've done it before. The technology is there, and all of these colleges and universities have the capability and so forth. It's just so easy to make this switch, this change in these schools. So it's been interesting. To say the least.
So you'll be doing online classes?
Yeah, pretty much.
For how long?
Until about the second week of April. For right now, just to see how things are going, as it relates to the government addressing this issue at all levels, local, state, federal, that sort of thing, to see how things will shake out in regards to that. So it's interesting, but it is good to know that these schools do have an infrastructure, technically speaking, from a technological standpoint, that would allow us to be able, in a very quick way, switch over to virtual learning. But it's interesting nonetheless, because beyond that, I mean, what do you do? What do you do? When people are raising questions like, well, should I go to church? Right? Should I go to the movies, go to the plays, the theater, concerts, and things like that? What should we do in that regard, right?
So this is the thing. It's a virus that is highly contagious.
Yes.
Spreads rapidly.
Yes.
And so you want to take the precautionary method anytime that something like this happens.
Yeah.
And so I actually have an executive order from the state of Michigan signed by the governor.
Okay.
And I'm going to read that because, one of the things is Michigan Governor Gretchen was pretty proactive about the situation and trying to kind of stay on top of what's going on. So,
okay, the official document.
I do have the executive order that she signed actually a couple of days ago, but as it relates to partly this, I know people know that here in the state of Michigan, there are several alert press conferences that are happening as the governor did last night. We had the doctor with her doing the press conference as well. That was around 10 or 11 o'clock last night. They usually have, I guess, they're Mackinac Bridge have to make their own arrangements to get across the bridge.
Wow.
Again, the governor has cautioned us to take as many actions as we can to limit wide public gatherings and the spread of certain things. So here's the executive order, and it's number 2020-5, and it's temporary prohibition on large assemblages and events, and temporary school closures. So the novel coronavirus, or COVID-19, or COVID-19, however you want to look at it. Sorry, I'm going to turn that down. Is a respiratory disease that can result in serious illness or death. It is caused by a new strain of coronavirus not previously identified in humans and easily spread from person to person. There's currently no approved vaccine or antiviral treatment for this disease. On March 10th, 2020, the Michigan Department of Health and Human Services identified the first 2 presumptive positive cases, which I'm going to get into how many we have now. I'm going to get to that in a second, of COVID-19 or COVID-19, however you want to say it, in Michigan. On that same day, I issued Executive Order 2020-4. This order declared a state of emergency across the state of Michigan under Section 1 of Article 5 of the Michigan Constitution of 1963, the Emergency Management Act 1976, PA 390, as amended in MCL 30.401-421, and the Emergency Powers of the Governor Act of 1945 PA 302, as amended in MCL 10.31-33. The Emergency Management Act vests the governor with broad powers and duties to cope with dangers to the state or the people of the state presented by a disaster or emergency, which the governor may implement through executive orders, proclamations, and directives having the force and effort of law. Similarly, the Emergency Powers of the Governor Act of 1945 provides that after declaring a state of emergency, the governor may promulgate reasonable orders, rules, and regulations as he or she considers necessary to protect life and property or to bring the emergency situation within the affected area under control. To mitigate the spread of COVID-19, I'm just going to say COVID because I don't want to keep saying COVID-19. COVID-19, to provide essential protections to vulnerable Michiganders and the state's healthcare system and other critical infrastructure, it is reasonable and necessary to impose limited and temporary restrictions on large events and assemblages of people. Acting under the Michigan Constitution of 1963 and Michigan law, I ordered the following. Beginning on March 13th, 2020 at 5 p.m. and continuing through April 5th, 2020 at 5 p.m., all assemblages of more than 250 people in a single shared space and all events of more than 250 people are prohibited in this state, except for assemblages of the purpose of industrial or manufacturing work, meaning Jim can still go to work, mass transit, or the purchase of groceries or consumer goods. A single shared space includes, but is not limited to, a room, hall, cafeteria, auditorium, theater, or gallery. This prohibition does not abridge protections guaranteed by the state or federal constitution under these emergency circumstances. Beginning on March 16th, 2020, this is point number 2. Beginning on March 16th, 2020, all elementary school buildings and secondary school buildings in the state must close to students for educational purposes through April 5th, 2020. This requirement includes all public, non-public, and boarding schools in the state. This requirement does not apply to residential facilities at schools and child care providers at schools. Consistent with MCL 10.33 and MCL 30.4053, a willful violation of this order shall constitute a misdemeanor. Given under my hand and the greatest seal of the state of Michigan, and is signed by the governor and is signed by the Secretary of State, Jocelyn Benson. So it's signed by Governor Gretchen Whitmer and Secretary of State, Jocelyn Benson. And so a lot of people have had questions about, well, what does this mean for religious gatherings? What does this mean for churches? So you and I both we attend a church that has over 800 members. And on any given Sunday, it's at least 400, 500 people there at a time. And so I know that there were several churches that canceled their Bible studies recently. And so I'm thinking as far as the churches go, and you also have a lot of churches that only have 20, 25 members. But I think that the whole point is to exercise caution and to make sure that, because, and this is the thing, is we're trying to protect the vulnerable members of our society. The closing of the schools, a lot of children live with their parents or grandparents or older parents or up in age, or some people have mothers who may be pregnant, or aunts or sisters, or live around someone who may be pregnant. You also have to think about the fact that there are a lot of people with compromised immune systems, and when we say that, we're talking about people with like asthma, people with certain cancers, just people with diabetes, different things like that we don't necessarily consider. So because we have a population that is, we have a high elderly population, we have a lot of, we have a pretty high pregnancy rate going right now. And then if you look at the fact that we have a lot of people who are immunocompromised, or even up with us having this water crisis and people drinking the lead, you have some sort of issues there. So I think that in the Flint area, we want to take special precautions and to consider all of these things. And so I'm going to say when it comes to churches, use your best judgment, but if it's 250 or more, it's one of those things that have been considered prohibited. But again, they are not looking to, I'm going to go back to that point. I'm going to read this point again. Okay. And I'm going to start from the beginning. Beginning on March 13, 2020 at 5 p.m. and continuing through April 5th, 2020 at 5 p.m., all assemblages of more than 250 people in a single shared space and all events of more than 250 people are prohibited in the state, except for assemblages for the purpose of industrial or manufacturing work, mass transit, or the purchase of groceries or consumer goods. A single shared space includes, but is not limited to, a room, hall, cafeteria, auditorium, theater, or gallery. This prohibition does not abridge protections guaranteed by the state or federal constitution under these emergency circumstances. Again, this prohibition does not abridge protections guaranteed by the state or federal constitution under these emergency circumstances. So I would say that when it comes to the case of churches, which is something you have a right to attend, and funerals, you use your better discretion.
Wow. Okay.
Use your better discretion. Wow. But again, over 250.
Absolutely.
And again, you have to consider, think about those who are related to you, who are a part of our senior population. Think about those who may be pregnant. Think about those with compromised immune systems. And even though you think, it's just asthma seems common, those people are in danger when it comes to this virus.
Oh, absolutely.
And so I think just consider that when you're considering some things. And I've read a few things, and I don't have that printout in front of me, but there are a few things that we can do if we come into contact with someone who's infected, or you live with someone who's infected. The suggestion is to kind of quarantine them to one room. And if they are not able to wear a mask because of whatever breathing condition that they may suffer from, any kind of respiratory issues they may have where they can't breathe properly with a mask on, then if you have to go into a room with them, you are required to wear a mask. They're requiring you to limit, your contact and all of that. So let's do what we can. I know that on my Facebook page, Candice Mushatt, and it's public, so you don't have to add me as a friend. You can just go there and see it. It's public. That I did share that AARP did host a teletown hall for the senior population to kind of help them understand what they can do at this time and how to protect themselves. So there's information available. You can go to cdc.gov to get some of this information. If you go to the state of Michigan website again, information there if you live in the state of Michigan. But if you're watching from another state, which we have a lot of viewers from other states, again, go to your state's official website and get information. And again, you can go to the cdc.gov and get information as well as to what you should do. I think this and I want to say one more thing though, Vic.
Sure.
And this is really important. And I'm going to say, I'm a Christian. I don't hide the fact that I'm a Christian. Jesus is my Savior. I don't hide any of that. That's public knowledge if you know Candice.
Absolutely.
I will say this though, because I see a lot of different posts and I see a lot of different things, and again, as Christians, we're going to pray, we're going to believe what we believe, we're going to pray the prayers that we need to pray and have the conversations that we need to have with our Lord, to protect ourselves, cover ourselves in the blood, because that's what we believe. I want us to be mindful that not everyone believes as we believe, and the Bible tells us that. And the thing that you have to understand is you live on a planet, because right now this is it's global. And you would live on a planet where not everyone believes what you believe.
True.
And so you have to be mindful of the fact that, and I'm not saying there's anything wrong with saying pray and all of that. Pray, do all that, because I'm most certainly going to pray. I've already prayed. I'm going to keep praying. I'm good, as far as I'm concerned. But I recognize the fact, and I don't know if it's maybe having governmental experience or just working with people in general, or just,
trying to be a good biosphere project. I don't know, Vic. But you have to recognize not everyone believes how you believe.
True.
And so sometimes some of these posts of shaming people or saying, maybe you should pray or maybe you should believe and trying to force that. That's not how you bring people to Christ.
True.
And then two, you have to understand that when you live with other people who have different beliefs and they have different, and you got to keep in mind that a lot of people suffer from anxiety, depression, other different things. And not only that, even if they don't have anxiety or depression, this is a situation where you have a lot of information coming at you all at once. And so I just want us to be careful and mindful of the fact that while prayers would help us get through this situation, we live on a planet full of people who that may not be how they choose to handle it. And if information is what they need to calm their fears and anxiety and keep them from doing something crazy, let people share information with them. Because the last thing we need is for riots to start. The last thing we need is for something to happen, all because we dismissed how someone else may cope with this because they didn't believe how we believed. So we have to be careful with those things. We have to be mindful of that. One of the things that I'm doing is I'm sharing information as I get it, because again, I understand that people have different beliefs from me, and that this is not my time for me to check your belief. That's fine, whatever. But this is a time for me to say, if this is the thing that will help calm and ease you, and the more information you get, the better you feel, and it keeps anything crazy from popping off, let me get you this information.
Absolutely.
And not even that though, but at the end of the day, you do need information. And don't get me wrong, I enjoy some of the memes of how, so y'all haven't been washing your hands this whole time. Don't get me wrong. I wholeheartedly think it's funny.
That's nasty.
Quit acting like everybody washes their hands, though. But quit acting like everybody washes their hands. Everybody doesn't wash their hands.
True. I see people leaving the restroom without washing their hands. Like, what? This dude's gonna leave the restroom without washing his hands?
Yeah, man.
What? He didn't shake somebody's hand?
Yeah, man.
What kind of stuff is that?
Yeah. But I will say, this is one of the memes where people who need limited touch in life, it's finally our time.
Absolutely.
Non-huggers unite. They won't touch us anymore.
Non-huggers unite.
They won't touch us anymore.
Wow.
So,
amazing, man.
Yeah.
Amazing.
So I just want to say that be mindful that we live on the planet with all types of people. And that and even there are even some people who are believers that you don't know where they stand in their walk, and you don't question people's walk. If they need the information, let me get the information. Some people feel like I need to know what I'm praying against.
Absolutely.
All of that. I don't think it goes to say about anybody's belief, how much they believe, whether it's real to them or not, just because they want information. Or just because they choose to share information or whatever. It takes all kinds. Okay?
Yes, it does. Yes, it does.
It takes all.
but it's a strange new, a brave new world, right? You know what I'm saying? Moving forward, man. I mean, this is very serious here, because I don't think this is the first of this type of thing. I think that with the fact that we have over 7 billion people who live on the planet, we're going to see, I don't want to speak this, but we're going to see more things like this moving into the future. If it's not this particular virus or whatever the case may be, you're going to see some more things like this happening, since we have a densely populated planet that we live on.
Well, I'm glad you said that. So can we do this now then?
Okay.
Because I don't want to leave my conspiracy.
Oh my goodness! You sound like your president. You sound like your president, because he tends to be a conspiracy theorist himself. So both you and him were checking out Alex Jones? Is that what his website as well?
Or he could be a perpetrator of a conspiracy theory, but whatever.
That too.
But I want to talk about that. I don't know how much you've heard about this virus, or any specific theories you might have heard regarding the virus.
Well, I heard one. It was the Democratic Party and the media that were working against Donald Trump.
Oh, Lord.
Trying to bring your brother down.
You want to know why that's the one that you heard?
Why is that?
Because you're a Trumpster.
Oh, wait a minute. No, I'm just telling you, man. I'm telling you.
No, I'm kidding.
I've even run across some Trumpsters who said that, too. I have. Listen, it's the media. It's the combination of the media and the Democratic Party that's trying to get at Donald Trump.
I've heard some interesting things about...
Nothing else could work.
But
the hearings couldn't do it. The trial couldn't do it. The media couldn't do it.
But you want to know what? I've heard the opposite side of that coin.
What's that?
Trump did it to stay president. I kid you not.
To stay president?
Yeah.
You heard that one?
Yeah.
I haven't heard that one.
He did it
to
stay
remain president.
To remain president. Because if there was a big enough epidemic and stuff, and people wouldn't like go out and vote, or he could declare enough of an emergency to say, "Nah,
Martial
I'm
law,
here."
huh?
Yeah. I've heard a few.
I am the king. I am the monarch. I'm the king of America.
I've heard a few things of the population control theory
Well, I heard
coming
that.
out.
I heard that one. Yeah, I heard that one.
So yeah,
Absolutely.
yeah.
That's huge though.
Y'all just keep in mind
That's
Big
huge.
Bar theories, and I just wanted to know what theories he'd heard.
I'm just saying.
Yeah.
We've heard of eugenics. We did a show on eugenics
We did. Mm-hmm.
over a year ago.
We did.
Remember that?
We did.
And there are still people who practice eugenics and who believe actually in eugenics, Candice. I'm just saying, what are we going to do? Think about that. There's over 7 billion people who live on this planet, Candice, right? So what are we going to do moving forward? What are you going to do moving
We're
forward?
gonna live on the planet together. This is the thing.
But you have all of these people vying for the same resources, the same food, stuffs and things of that nature.
We are not.
Water and so forth, air to breathe,
Okay.
all this thing, all this stuff.
All right. So get ready.
Over 7 billion people.
So get ready to make your little socialist comment.
No.
Get ready.
I'm just saying. No.
Get ready.
I'm just saying.
This is the thing, and you know that this is how I feel. I am not the kind of person that you can sell me the line of we're running out of resources or there's not enough room for
7 billion people, Candice.
Vic.
7 billion.
Vic.
7 billion.
Vic.
What?
Vic.
What?
Vic.
What?
Vic.
What, man?
Come on now.
7 billion.
That means nothing to me. That means
It
nothing
means
to me.
nothing to you.
I do not believe we're going to run out of resources or anything. What I believe is we have enough hoarders and greedy people.
Well, America,
yeah,
which makes up 5% of the total population of the
to
planet,
the point where
which is the supreme culprit in
this
hoarding.
reminds me of. Have you seen Avengers?
Okay, which one though? Which one? The end game,
Infinity War, and Endgame.
No, I didn't
What was
see
Thanos' whole point in collecting
I saw
those
one
stones? What was
What?
Thanos' whole point? Because he wanted to snap his finger and rid the world,
yeah.
rid the galaxy of half the population.
Absolutely,
But then he grew up
absolutely.
poor. This always
absolutely,
reminds me of
absolutely.
all these people with the Thanos mindset. It's like, come
Yeah.
on. But the only reason that you have so many people that do not have is because you have 1% that has
yeah,
a lot.
true. Well, yeah,
You see
true.
what I'm saying?
This is true.
It is
It's about
amazing
power
how,
and control.
but it is amazing how you have Congress people and senators who voted against paid sick leave who are now getting paid sick leave.
Oh, absolutely.
How do you
Oh, no
vote against
question.
it and
Oh,
then
no
you
question.
get it? Come on, hypocrite.
Oh, true. This is true.
Come
I agree
on,
with
man.
you. I agree with you. It's a very elitist mindset.
Yeah.
And disposition.
So
Absolutely.
you deserve paid sick leave, but the people that are doing work out here risking mind, body, heart, and soul,
True.
barely seeing their families
True.
for your little minimum wage, they
Yeah.
don't deserve paid sick leave.
Well.
Keep in mind, the same insurance that you criticize, you're sitting back with excellent
But
insurance.
you know why though? You know why? Since we're talking conspiracy. Have you been to Jekyll Island? Maybe. Or have you been to the latest Bilderberg meeting?
Man.
I'm just saying, Ken. I'm just saying now. Those places exist. Those groups exist. Those associations exist. Have you seen the pictures of those meetings? I'm just saying, Candice.
Let me get back
I'm
to
just saying.
I want to get back to the point.
I'm just saying.
I want to get back to
all
the
of
point.
these powerful people, they meet annually.
I agree. I mean,
You know what I
they
mean?
go over and they announced that they're meeting annually.
At the
don't
Bohemian
they?
Grove?
Yeah, but they tell us they're meeting. They tell us.
You see?
And we still just
What
sit
you gonna
at
do
home.
about it, right? I mean,
But I
I'm
think
just
even
saying.
if you look at, and I saw a post from someone who is disabled.
Okay.
And he was talking about how all the able-bodied people denied them all of these rights and accommodations that they
Okay.
have been asking for over all these years.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden, we have a virus outbreak.
Yeah.
And all of these accommodations that they've been asking
Yeah.
for, we've
Yeah.
been saying is impossible.
Yeah.
Now it's happening. Now you can work from home. You can telecommute. You can do all of these things that they've been asking for.
No doubt.
Now, but that's another thing though. All of a sudden, jobs can miraculously allow people to do X, Y, Z. Remotely and all of this. The funniest meme that I saw, which I related to dearly, was a meme that said, it was a tweet that said, "Now we're going to see which emails which meetings could have actually have been emails all along." And I was thinking, exactly. Y'all having all these unnecessary meetings. I can say it now. Y'all having all these unnecessary meetings.
Meeting to meet.
Right.
Essentially.
Or meeting
That
to
happens
talk,
all the time.
Or meeting to talk about a meeting.
Exactly. Exactly. No doubt about it. Yeah.
You could email
I'm on
me
meeting
this.
out, to be honest with you. I'm meeting out,
You
man.
and me
Seriously.
both.
You know what I
and me
mean?
both.
Absolutely.
The only, at this point, the only meetings I want to go to are meetings with the residents where we're talking about how restoring power to people. Because other than that, I don't even care about any of this. And not only that we're talking about it, but that we're actual action items, things that are being acted on.
Absolutely.
That's
Absolutely.
where I'm at this point.
No doubt. No doubt about
I
that.
am talked out. I get it.
Yeah,
I'm tired of thought pieces. I'm tired of editorials. I'm tired of allies coming to tell us what we already know. I'm tired of all of that action.
Absolutely. No doubt. No
That's
doubt.
it.
Hit the ground running.
That's it.
You know,
That
straight
is
to the
it.
point. I agree with you. I agree with you on that. No doubt about that. I really do. I really do.
So I have to ask your opinion since we're kind of switching gears here.
Okay.
Oh, somebody said, ask Vic, have you drove through Iowa?
Wait, ask me, did I drive through Iowa?
Yeah, you've driven through Iowa.
No, my friend, I can't remember the last time I've driven through Iowa. The closest thing to Iowa that I've driven through was, let's see, maybe Illinois or Indiana. The back roads of Indiana. No dought about that. But what's their point? What's the point they're trying to make here? What's the point they're trying to make?
They'd have to tell me that. I'm waiting for the next message there. But I want to kind of switch gears here a little bit since somebody brought up Iowa.
Okay.
Let's talk about what's going on here with this primary. And how interesting this has been.
Very interesting.
I think it went from Biden being on the bottom to Biden
dead man walking.
Being on the top.
Yeah, no doubt. He was a dead man walking.
Into people who were essentially polling better than him all of a sudden endorsing him.
That's a conspiracy, too. That's a conspiracy. You know what the conspiracy is? You know what the Bernie people are saying? That I gotta tell it since we're talking conspiracies, Candice and radio audience.
We weren't talking conspiracies, but Vic, you like
I'm just saying. The Bernie supporters are saying that the leadership of the Democratic Party, they're conspiring against Bernie because they don't want a compatriot of yours, a socialist, to be at the helm of the Democratic Party, even though he is not a Democrat. He's an independent.
You know, you're talking to a millennial, so certain words don't scare us. Okay? Certain words we are not afraid of. Certain words that are used to make boomers be quiet
boomers,
will not make
boomers,
us, will not silence
the boomers.
Come on now. Y'all know somebody call y'all socialists. You freeze up. You get nervous.
But that's what they're doing, though.
You get nervous.
Notice that, though. They're doing that. I think there's a ray of truth.
You can attach whatever title to the fact that I believe that there are enough resources to go around. You can attach whatever title. I'm still going to believe it. I don't care what you call it. The reality is the reality.
That's about control.
And this
the gatekeepers.
And this coronavirus is showing you that all this stuff could have been done all along.
Yeah, true.
All along.
Oh, true. No doubt about that. No doubt.
I'm sure the argument is going to be, but we couldn't sustain it.
Yeah.
Stop
True.
it.
Of course.
Stop it. Stop it.
It's a blip in the matrix.
I do mean stop it.
It's a blip in the matrix. See, that's what it is. But what do you say about the assertion that certain Bernie people, supporters, are saying about the Democratic Party?
I think there's always some truth to the fact that you have some people who like the status quo and will do what they can. And that's so messed up that they keep calling him Status Joe. Yeah. I didn't want to say they like the status quo and they want to do what they can to keep Status Joe. I'm just saying what they're saying. I'm saying what they're saying. Because I'm answering your question.
Okay.
Let's put it out there. When y'all run this clip back one time in my life, run the entire clip back.
My goodness.
Even though I know they're not going to run the entire clip back. Because I talk about memes all the time. They're gonna present it as if the memes were me. I understand. But yeah, they
Status Joe.
They've called him Status Joe.
Sleepy Joe.
I've heard the Bernie Bros say that.
The Bernie Bros.
See, now, when you run that back, make sure you say I hit the meme on everyone. Everyone's meme is getting called out. Okay? But the Bernie Bros call him Status Joe. Yes.
That's funny. That's funny.
Yeah.
So what do you think, though? I think there's some credence to that. I think they do not want to see him win. I don't think they do.
I believe that they're
fear
this is some of of the criticism
that he may be too far left.
This is some of the criticism that Bernie Sanders gets, though, right?
Okay.
Is the fact that, one, he's an independent, and he's
Yeah.
never a Dem
Yeah.
until it's time for him to run. And the rebuttal to that argument is he caucuses with the Dems. He often
True.
votes with the Dems.
True.
So there are the rebuttals. Another argument is that he's kind of tearing their party apart. I think what happens
Alone? Just him? They're not doing it too? They're not helping him?
No, but this is the thing and here's the rebuttal to that, is that you had a lot of young progressive Dems that you weren't listening to.
True.
And so you kind of left the field open for this kind of Tea Party-esque thing to happen. Not calling you Tea Party. I'm just saying that that's what happened in the Republican Party with the Tea Party. You know what I'm saying? Because you had a different group within that, a different faction within that group come up with
grassroots type.
There you go. And so I just think that they're it's time for a change, Vic.
Yeah, I would agree.
It's time. Like, I think that millennials catch a lot of flack for a lot of things that we do differently, but we do those things differently because we recognize the fact that we don't want to live our lives in debt.
Well, yeah.
We literally say
literally
say hashtag best life.
Yeah,
There's
true.
nothing. There's nothing about debt that says best
true.
life. Okay?
Oh, true.
Nothing about
No
debt
doubt
says
about
best
that.
life.
No doubt about that.
Best life.
Yeah.
Nothing about living paycheck to paycheck says best life.
Not at all.
Nothing about being told to go to school to get a job to pay for the school they told you to go to get the job says best life. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
There are systems that it's like, because they're in place and so many people are so used to doing them, it's hard to snap cognitive dissonance. It's hard to snap them out of the fact that this doesn't make sense.
Yeah, true.
And so you have
Changes can be made.
a group that is coming up now that's saying, we're not with
I'm
it.
rejecting that approach.
Yeah, or come on now, or saying that when people literally have to make the choice to die rather than seek medical attention because they do not want the bill, I'm gonna choose death over a bill. And you
I'm gonna choose life. Then I'll deal with the bill. I'm gonna choose life, man.
But this is the thing,
I'm gonna choose life.
This is the thing, though.
Come on, man.
Essentially, you have a lot of people who refuse to go seek medical attention until they are on their deathbed because they don't want the bill. So essentially, you are being forced to choose death over a bill. That's the reality.
Yeah, I get it. I get it. Because many people go into great debt.
Yes.
With regard to that,
people,
no doubt.
Most people do not
people lose
have
their homes in some cases, things of that nature.
Exactly.
Absolutely.
And most people do not have primary health care physicians. They just go to the emergency room. Or they go to urgent care, and the urgent care tells them to go to the emergency room. All because you have a system that is not working.
Yeah, true. Yeah, it's not working.
It's not working.
No doubt about that. No doubt
it's
about
not
that.
working.
You know what your party is saying, though, the Republicans? Let them eat cake. Vis-a-vis Marie Antoinette. Let them eat cake.
Let me tell you why.
This is capitalism, baby.
Let me tell
That's
you,
what they're saying.
Let me tell you why I'm going to
capitalism.
let you have that joke. Because any real Republican that's listening is saying she is not one of us. So you can fire that joke off as much as you want.
You didn't say that before the show started, as you was rocking your MAGA hat. And you just got through talking to your namesake Candice and Yeezy.
I'm just going to put it this way. Which one of us is on camera defending Donald Trump?
I'm not defending Donald Trump.
Yeah, it's all you do is
I'm not.
him.
No, I'm
That's
not.
all you do.
No, I'm not.
Matter of fact, I think this past Tuesday you went in there and checked that box. You were like, I need a Republican ballot.
Yeah, right,
you asked
right.
for a Republican ballot, Vic. You did. You did.
But I have to say, though, that the Democratic Party has to be careful concerning how they will treat Bernie Sanders and his followers, man, because the same thing that happened in 2016 could possibly happen in 2020 if they're not careful.
We have people saying that Biden, once again, black people saved America. We can't afford to play with Trump. We have to win. So they're saying that's the argument of why they're saying Joe Biden, because he can
hold their nose and vote for him anyhow.
because he can bring in some of the Trumpsters that Sanders clearly cannot bring in. I just want to know though. Let's try this next week. I want to do like an interactive show, and I want to talk to some people who I want different opinions.
Oh, yeah, sure.
I want to talk to some people who are Trump supporters still to this day. Like, and even if we
have to black screen your face and distort your voice, I
want to talk to someone who is a Trump supporter to this day, because I want to understand.
Yeah.
And even those people who say, well, I'm not a Trump supporter, but I'm a Republican, and I'm not going to split from my party, even though I think he's disgusting. You can't think he's disgusting and still vote for him. I don't understand how that works.
I've heard people say that. I
don't understand how that works, though.
Yeah.
I don't understand how that. What you do though is you get the thing out that you think is disgusting, and then you come back around with something else. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
You come back in 4 years with an actual viable candidate, because anytime you have a president that blows off a virus as a cold and says it'll be gone by the time the sun hits, or anytime you have a president that has people who have concussions and blow it off as headaches. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I think we're in trouble.
Yeah, we are.
Or you have a president who unilaterally keeps making decisions to have airstrikes against people, and you just find out after they happen. Because there was recently another airstrike that just happened on the 12th. Yeah.
In Syria?
Well, let me pull this up for you.
There's another group you might want to talk to that are Trump supporters. And interestingly enough, you know what they're saying? They're saying that it's conceivable that Trump may obtain anywhere between 15 to 20, upwards to 25% of the black male vote.
So somebody just said that Bernie supporters are not real Democrats. They are white guys who can't find a home with Republicans because they don't want to commit to those black folks in the Democratic Party. I'm not going to say that's 100% true, because I know a lot of black people that are Bernie supporters. I know a lot of black women that are Bernie supporters. Yeah, true. So I mean, to each his own. But I guess that's how this person in particular views. True. Whatever.
But you heard this. As far as black men are concerned, have you not heard this? That anywhere between 15 to 20 to upwards to 25% of black male voters may be casting their vote for Donald Trump. I'm just saying. You got to bring in that group so we can talk to them as well.
Listen, Vic, we know you're in the number.
No, I'm not in that number. But I know people who are in that number. Right? So it would be interesting to bring in a mix of voices, right? From Republicans to Independents to Democrats, etc. You know, men, women, black, white, Puerto Rican, the whole nine, the Rainbow Coalition. It would be very interesting to talk to a cross section of American society.
And here That's what you're talking about. The U.S. conducts airstrikes against multiple Iranian-backed militia sites in Iraq. March 13th. Okay. Yep.
Wow. They downplayed that one, didn't they?
They didn't even tell y'all because they kept talking to y'all about the virus.
Exactly.
Because they act as if you can't focus on more than one thing.
Can't multitask.
You can't do that. I can't do that.
Oh my goodness.
Someone said that black folks are diehard Democrats. They aren't letting these young whites and blacks tear what we built. Plus, if you're a young Bernie supporter, why didn't they show up? You want to know what's funny? This seems like something that a boomer would say.
A boomer. Wow, a boomer.
It's a boomer.
Wow. But I gotta say this though. I've been saying this the whole year. And see, you and Mike don't want to hear this though.
Mike might want to hear it.
You and Mike don't want to hear this.
Mike might be on your side this time. Say it.
I'm just saying.
Say it.
There's growing disgruntlement. Right? If I could say it that way, in the African American community with the Democratic Party, I'm just telling you.
Oh no, we're aware. Don't say that we wouldn't agree with that. We're aware.
Now some people,
we're aware.
A few are going to trickle over to the Republican Party. A few are going to be casting their votes for alternative third party candidates and whatnot.
Let me tell you. And I know, disgruntled or not. Yeah. Disgruntled or not, with everything that this president is doing, if you don't vote for him, it's because you wanted to vote for him.
What I foresee happening with that group
disgruntled
is that they will hold their noses, many of them, and cast their vote for Sleepy Joe. But once we get beyond 2020, the election, they going in on the Democratic Party. I'm telling you, they will start organizing and going in on them. We already see it in Detroit. Because local politics is, I know you've been hearing about what's been going on in Detroit. Woo! Oh my, $600 million, Candice.
I don't know how you do that.
It's probably closer to $1 billion.
I don't know how you do that.
Over assessment of people's property taxes.
That's what I'm saying. I don't know how you do that.
Wow.
That's not an accident.
No, it's not an accident.
That's not an accident.
Oh my goodness,
That's
man.
not an accident.
You know what, Candice? I believe that Detroit is ground zero for Black America. I really do. I believe that Detroit encapsulates all of the social, political, economic concerns that are impacting the African American community throughout this country. I really do. I think Detroit is ground zero for that. I really do. And I sense there's a shift going on. The ground is shifting politically and socially, certainly economically, in that community and whatnot. And I think it's registering with the rest of Black America in that regard. You know what I'm saying? That's what I see. That's what I see. Right? Well, so what say you? What say you, millennial?
You're never gonna get me to be ashamed. That's the thing that you don't have. That's the beauty of being a millennial.
What's that?
We don't carry too much shame.
You embrace change, is what you're saying.
We push change.
Okay,
We
okay.
do more than embrace it. We
All right.
push it.
Okay, all right.
We are change
So
agents.
you're the straw that stirs the drink. Millennials
We
are.
are the change agents. And if you think you got a problem with us, this next generation coming up after us, you're really gonna have
What's
a
that?
problem.
Z?
The Zillennials, the Generation Z,
Zillen-
whatever you're calling them. You are really going to you're
What do they
going to have
believe
a
in?
real
What do they
problem.
believe in? What's their MO?
You're going to have
Modus
a real problem.
operandi.
Can't tell you, boomer.
Oh, hey, wait a minute. I ain't no boomer. Boomer. Right. Yeah. But I think there's going to be some interesting days ahead. I really do.
I think we're already in some very interesting times.
Yeah.
What is so crazy though,
Yeah.
and I still can't get over it, and I still can't fathom it, and I still can't understand it, is even with everything that's done, is even as much as people are disgusted with everything that's done, the fact that everybody keeps saying we're still looking at a very real reality of Trump getting another 4 years. That is still
the
just
possibility
like
is there. Yeah, the possibility is there.
crazy to me.
Oh, no question.
Man, y'all better go in there and vote for Joe.
But since I'm not an official party member, I can say this. You can't, but I can. I think that it's incumbent that Joe Biden gets a strong person to run with him on the ticket.
I think he's from word.
I'm wondering, does he have the gas?
Word is that he is vetting. He's vetting some people for me. He's got some
like
picks.
maybe Stacey Abrams, Kamala Harris.
I mean, those are some stirrings and some things that we would like to see.
Okay.
So we'll kind of see. I know that at one point Stacey did say that she's not opposed to being a vice president.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. Yeah.
Those are just some things that we would
I think
like
he
to
needs
see.
that. I think he does. For energy's sake. I'm just saying.
I'm not agreeing with you. I'm listening.
I'm just saying.
This is my listening face. These are my listening ears.
I'm just saying. You know, that office is taxing. And think about this though. This includes your boy in the White House. They're all 70, at least 70.
That's another thing that
5 years old.
That's another thing that I find very interesting, and I think a lot of people are probably going to yell at me about that. But you have to be 35. Like, I'm not even old enough to run for president, right? So you have to be 35 before you can even run for president. I'm not old enough to run for president. But why is there no cap? The other way.
Yeah, true.
There's a cap this way. Why isn't there a cap the other way?
Absolutely.
Why are we not considering that?
That's my point.
Same thing with Congress. Why are we not considering term limits? Like,
yeah, true. No question. If there were term limits, Moscow Mitch wouldn't be in office anymore, right?
you got a lot of people that just sit in those seats until they die. It's like,
a term for life.
If you're not
Like
voting me,
Supreme Court.
if you're not voting me out. Oh, speaking of the Supreme Court, though, I do want to talk about that. So, in November or whatever, you know, when you get a new president.
Yeah.
What do you do now that the courts have been stacked with Republican judges?
Oh my goodness!
You know, nonpartisan court has been stacked with Republican judges. What do you do?
Over 180, I believe.
What do you do then? I mean, they have played the long game. Let me tell you, they have been strategic about how this works. So it's like, even if you remove the current president, even if you switch over Congress, you get those Senate seats, those Senate seats fixed.
True.
What are you going to do about your courts that are stacked?
Woo!
What do you do there?
Ooh, that's
what
a
do you
done
do
deal.
there?
Many of them are young too. They're young.
Would you say they put their legs on there? They put their legs in there.
Absolutely. No doubt about that.
They got the runners ready.
Oh, absolutely. That's going to be his legacy. That's going to be his legacy.
We're in this. The runners are ready.
Man, ooh. Because you're right. They want to control the courts and whatnot. Because if you control the legal portion of the system, you control the system. By and large, you control from the rule of law standpoint, a legal standpoint.
I mean, because you can interpret it to be whatever you interpret it to be.
Absolutely. No question about that. Yeah.
You interpret it to be whatever you interpret it.
Yeah.
You can say that's not how I looked at
Yeah,
it, and because
true.
I'm the judge, gavel down.
Absolutely. Yeah, no doubt about that.
So what happens then, though? What do you do?
Lawyer up.
Well, what good are your lawyers if the judges are like, this is what it is?
Yeah, true. Yeah.
What do you do?
Money up. A little thing called payola. No, I'm joking.
He's not joking. He's not joking. The Republicans jump right on out of here.
Cash rules everything around me.
Cream get the money.
I know, y'all. How if you hear me?
I hear you. But this is the thing. That Republican jump right on out of here.
You're right.
I see you. I see you. Down here, red hat. I see you.
You're right.
What?
We used to be Republicans, though. You know that, right? It was a different party
well,
then. Frederick Douglass was a Republican.
But then the Dixiecrats infiltrated.
Oh yeah, well, this is true.
You know.
This is true. This is true. They left your party, the Dixiecrats, left the Democrat. They left the Democratic Party, went to the Republican Party. The Ku Klux Klan left them.
No,
Dixiecrats they were Ku Klux Klan.
No, I wasn't saying no to that. I was
saying.
saying they didn't leave. They strategized.
Yeah, true.
They're always strategic. Isn't
True.
it crazy how people will come up with 20 different ways to do wrong?
Absolutely.
It is amazing.
No doubt
because
about
even
that.
when people were talking now, they were saying how you had a lot of Republicans who decided to vote on the Democratic primary ticket to vote as Democrat. To get it, you know what I'm saying.
In favor of Joe?
Yeah, to go vote for Joe.
Joe.
And then you had a lot of people on the internet that were astonished by this, and I was telling them this is not new.
True.
This is what you
True.
do. You go and you make sure the guy you think you have the best chance against wins.
Exactly.
That's what you do.
That's true. That's true. So you think that Trump believes that he has a better chance of defeating Joe Biden in the election?
The funny part is, I think that Trump believes that is because, and he keeps alluding to. He and his base keep alluding to Joe's capacity right now of saying, because I'm going to say this again. This is a meme. This is not Candice. Because you have some people in the Dem Party who's opposed to Joe Biden calling him status quo Joe. Well, you have people in the Republican Party calling him Slow Joe.
Slow Joe?
Listen.
Oh, man.
All means. None of this is Candice. And so in Donald Trump's mind, and in the mind of his base, that he will not be able to. If I was Joe Biden, I would be heavily offended.
Absolutely.
That Donald Trump thinks that I can't hang with him in a debate. I would be offended. I would be offended.
He's not a standard debater, though.
Because
he debated Hillary. Hillary's a good debator. She has a very good command of the issues, right? But because he's so unconventional, he's totally unconventional. Totally unconventional.
But then not only that, but I think that even with Hillary, excuse me, with Secretary Clinton, even when she was running, I think we gave up too much then. Because even if you look at the debate format and the style, they were able to walk around each other and stuff. Stand still and talk. We are not talking.
He was walking around. He was walking, looming in the background while she was talking. I
don't even think that should have been allowed.
Yeah, true.
You stand at your podium. You stand at your podium.
True.
Answer the question. But I don't think he would be able to in a formal debate kind of format.
True.
He's not standing at anybody's podium for 2 hours.
No doubt about that. That's the truth.
I think we gave up too much then. I mean, we changed the rules then. I think there's just been a bend every time. We've given up. You give up all this ground.
True.
What would your mom say when you were little? You give them an inch to take a mile.
True. No doubt
you're
about
giving
that.
up too much.
That's true.
Giving
That's
up
true.
too much.
Yeah. So what do you recommend? The Democratic Party take control of the narrative in that regard and whatnot? No, seriously.
I know you're serious.
Yeah, that's what they should do. I agree with you. We're talking about this is warfare. I mean, you know what I'm saying, rhetorically speaking. I'm not actual warfare, but you know what I'm saying. From a debating standpoint,
I don't know,
from a strategizing standpoint.
So you're saying this isn't warfare, but this is the thing that you have to understand. I live in a city that we're still waiting to get clean water. And the Audubon tells me that when you want to take over a city, you poison the water. We live somewhere where we have limited access to actual information about a virus that they've known about weeks in advance. That somebody blew off
months in advance.
Months in advance. Somebody of blew off as a common cold. We still can't get any straight answers.
True.
So while you're saying, "Oh, this isn't really war," I didn't mean it like that. It feels like I'm being assaulted.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
It's political warfare, right? Ideological warfare.
It feels like, you know, and then not only that, but
war.
you have a virus, and you have people that still will not go to the doctor.
Yeah.
Because they don't want the bill.
Yeah, true. Yeah, true.
But you boomers keep knocking.
Us boomers.
Y'all keep knocking.
Okay, commie.
Y'all keep knocking. Universal healthcare, free healthcare for all. Y'all keep knocking it.
But how can we pay for it, though? Who's going to pay for it? Universal healthcare. Seriously, how you going to pay for it? I'm posing.
You mean to tell me every other governmental...
I'm posing a legitimate question to you.
But you mean to tell me every other governmental structure has figured this out except for ours?
Every other nation, you're saying?
Yeah. Except for ours. Stop.
Context is everything.
Come on now.
Context is everything. Okay, I get what you're saying. Does the American government have the will to actually do this thing?
No.
I think that one of the main reasons why
I will flat out tell you no.
get supreme pushback from the American government is because they're capitalists, man. Serious. No,
bingo.
They're capitalists.
There you go.
They're capitalists.
Okay, but you just hit the point I wanted you to
So
hit.
being a socialist or a communist is sinful in America, ideologically speaking. Yes, it is.
I agree.
You see what I'm saying? Especially with the power elite. That's the belief that many of them have. Many of them are millionaires and multi-millionaires.
But I guess for
many
those, okay, so but then what I'm saying, what I'm saying to you is for those feeding into the narrative, and for those saying, "Shh, no, hush, don't talk about programs that work for everyone. Don't talk about those kind of programs."
Sure.
What has capitalism done for you other than made you sick without health care?
Ask the 1% that.
No, that's the 1%. I said those that go to bat. I said those that go to bat and fight hard with their neighbor over that belief.
True. We're in the Matrix.
What has it done for you?
They bought into the narrative. Absolutely.
What has it done for you? Other than give you jobs that you can't work just one, that you're working 3 and 4 different jobs, killing yourself. You can't properly raise your children.
Candice, I agree.
Your education systems are shot.
But Candice, I agree. But see, one of the main issues that the Democratic Party has, one of the faults I have with them, is that their brand of messaging.
What was that, Paul? Go ahead. Okay.
Their messaging is off. The Republicans beat them in terms of messaging. They're more effective than the Democratic Party is at messaging because the Republicans are good at getting people to buy into their concepts and ideas. They look at right-wing radio. Right, look at conservative news talk and whatnot.
Well, they stoke fear, though.
But
they stoke fear.
True. But they beat that message into people's minds and whatnot.
They use a lot of fear mongering. They say people are taking jobs that you ain't even trying to work anyway.
Yeah, true.
You know what I'm saying?
But if you say a lie over and over and over again, what happens? People start believing it.
But they accuse people of rapes and murders at disproportionate numbers when the real rapists and murderers at the higher numbers are actual Americans.
Yeah, well,
it's like, come on now.
True.
Like, it's like all of these different things.
They are good at propaganda. They propagandize their platform. They do. You got to give the devil his due. You got to give the devil his due. The devil is good at doing what the devil does, is all I'm saying. That's all. And I think that really, real talk, I think that the Democratic Party must do a better job in terms of messaging. They have to. They got to.
But I think that only works when you are willing to look at the fact that a lot of your base is younger now, right?
Okay.
You still, don't get me wrong, you still have your senior base and all of that, and they will come out to vote. They have shown that they will show up and turn an election out.
That's true.
But I think that, and you're talking about getting this young base energized. Keep in mind, young Republicans go vote. It's interesting. But anyway,
the young Republicans, they go vote.
but you have to keep in mind, you have a whole part of your base that feels unheard.
Okay.
And not only that, but they feel that they're not being helped. They feel like they're not cared about.
Okay.
They feel that you're trying to continue a system that is damaging to them.
Okay.
And they don't want to leave that kind of world behind for their children.
Okay.
So you have to think about those things and take those kind of things into consideration when you look at what restructuring your party is going to look at. And I think that there has to be a kind of an ebb and flow, like a
Okay,
give
yeah,
and take,
yeah,
though.
yeah.
I think you have a lot of older people who are just like, oh, younger people don't want to listen. They think they know everything.
Okay.
Blah, blah, blah. You know, this works. We'll do it the way that this works. I think the one thing that you don't want to do is knock the experience that older people
Okay,
have, or
sure,
some of the
sure.
things that they know how to do, or some of the,
Sure.
even just the institutional knowledge that they
Yeah,
may
true,
have,
true.
the
That's
historical
important.
knowledge
True,
that they
true.
may have, how
That's true.
things are, some contextual knowledge
That's
that
true.
they may have.
That's
You
true.
don't want to knock that.
That's
But
true.
at the same time, I think that the party has to have a meeting of the minds. They have to have a come together moment where we
That's
figure
not
out.
happening. That's what you're saying.
No,
it's
it does
not
not.
happening.
Absolutely does not happen.
Why
Because
isn't it happening, though?
because
Why
you,
is that happening?
You have two factions very strong in their beliefs, and I don't think
Okay.
anybody's listening right now, because you have one group again. The current system is not working. It's not working, and when you have a group that sees this current system and that you are. Basically looking like the protector of this current system.
True, absolutely. But you know what, though? The millennials aren't the only ones who are saying that. There's also people in the black community saying the same thing. They're saying the same thing. They really are. They were saying it 4 years ago, right? When Hillary was running, I had people personally tell me that they were working in that particular network and so forth, and there were persons who were a part of the power structure in the Democratic Party who were essentially serving as the gatekeepers, and they were blocking newcomers, and they were blocking people who were part of the grassroots from sharing any ideas, any tangible
So
ideas.
we have 30 seconds left. I want to thank everyone for tuning into Whose Opinion Is It Anyway? We'll be back here next week at 5 o'clock. And as we close out, and Republican Vic over
Oh, wait a
there
minute. The Republican Vic
tells us
I'm
what's wrong with
independent.
our party.
I'm independent.
Sure.
I'm rendering a critique.
Sure, but who do you...
I'm rendering a critique.
Who do you caucus with, Vic? Who do you caucus with?
Me, myself, and I.
Nah. Sounds like that. Just sounds like you caucus with the Make America Great Again.
No, man, no.
Sounds like, but we'll tune in again next week at 5 p.m. to Whose Opinion Is It Anyway with Candice.
And Victor.
Right here on 92.1 FM WFOV.
Peace.